Is this thing on? Oh, there's somebody on the phone. There's somebody on the phone. There's somebody on the phone. It's the James Gunn hotline. Please, not Jennifer. Please, not Jen Holland. Please, we can't do this. Hello? Jen, just put James on the phone. Shh. Hello, James. Congratulations on that cinemacon panel yesterday. All the WB stuff was amazing. All the stuff you and David and Rachel said. You put out some footage. Is it online? Can I react to it here on my YouTube channel? I can't. You're attaching it to Minecraft. I mean, look, it's a rare good decision. The kids watch it. They might want to come and watch the movie. I get it, but it's going to be bootlegged on the internet instantly, James. Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. You can follow me on X, Twitter, at Movies TV Mad, and on Instagram and on Threads, at Movies TV Mad. X, does anyone use Threads? Because I don't. My Instagram stuff just goes directly to it anyway. You can follow me on TikTok, Mad Mickey's World, and on Snapchat, BMouth60. Mick, your host with the most. A very warm welcome to Wednesday's edition of the DCU Daily. We have so many quotes for you today and a description of the footage that is going to be exclusively attached to the Minecraft movie and was also featured at the CinemaCon panel yesterday. Now, I believe we will see this footage ourselves along with a main trailer on Superman Day. And it's good we get to enjoy Superman Day with all these treats. I just think that footage is going to be bootlegged on the internet as soon as this film is released on Thursday or Friday. But I understand why WB are doing this. It's a good idea. The kids are going to be watching Minecraft. They're going to see crypto. We'll describe the scene to you very, very shortly. Anyway, I've got 13 minutes left. Let's get on with this because there's a lot to get through. James Gunn debuted soaring new footage from Superman at CinemaCon, and Crypto the dog stole the show. Now, to some people, that's kryptonite, that Crypto is stealing the dog and everyone's talking about Crypto. James Gunn loves animals. He did a brilliant arc for Rocket Raccoon through the 3 Guardians movies. I mean, how dark was that animal cruelty stuff in Guardians Volume 3? And he was outstanding, and it shows you that James Gunn can do deep dives with things like that. So amazing. Anyway, this is a movie that celebrates kindness and the human love. Gunn said he was first offered Superman in 2018, but opted to make another DC film, The Suicide Squad. Actually, what happened was he was fired from Disney temporarily. WB said to him, we want you to write a Superman movie. They were looking to move Cavill on. They were looking to restart Superman in 2018. They wanted him to write a Superman script. He wanted to do the Suicide Squad. They struck a deal with him. If you agree afterwards to write the Superman script, you can make the Suicide Squad, and that's what happens. James doesn't exactly explain it like that. He's like an old man talking about old war stories, but exaggerating them. During the war, anyway. But opted to make another DC film, The Suicide Squad. Instead, believing its R-rated ragtag ethos was more aligned with what he'd done on the Guardians of the Galaxy, but the idea of taking a character perceived as old-fashioned and making it resonate with a modern audience, they're obsessed with this modern audience that are too busy on TikTok. Kids are on TikTok, the youth are on TikTok. Cinema is now a prehistoric monster to the latest generation, and they're facts. You should be appealing to 35 pluses, 30-year-olds, 35 pluses, to people of my age, around 52, 60, because they're the people still going to cinema. It may not be fair, but that's the situation at hand. Anyway, appeal to him. Eventually, he had a eureka moment. He was able to find a story that is both utterly human and utterly fantastic at the same time. David Coronswet. It's a great honour to play a role that is so clearly in the public consciousness. You know what this symbol means. It feels like you're riding a tidal wave of good vibes and creative choices. David Coronswet. Now, they did mention this ambitious feature film dynamic duo, and this is what they said. Animation, a cross between CGI and animation, stop motion, and live-action real-time performance. Swaybox developed the tech, Momo Animation, to achieve this. Here's how the DC film could look like. So this is what it could look like. Very, very interesting. We will see, but I do like groundbreaking new projects, and I'm glad Gunn is looking to develop projects like this. This is a good thing. We want Superman, we want Batman, we want the lesser heroes, we want it all. Let's see if they can pull it off. First of all, Superman has to be successful or we're not going to see anything. James Gunn teases on what to expect in Superman pocket universes. Now, this confirms the leaks from the test screenings we spoke about yesterday, where I told you about Lex Luthor discovering a pocket universe which he imprisons people he hates in it, including his ex-girlfriends. So obviously that leak is true. And he imprisons Superman there and Krypto there. Very, very interesting. Sorcery. Now, sorcery is another word for magic. Now, could we see Zatana in this movie? If there's sorcery, where's this sorcery coming from? Very, very interesting. Flying dogs. Flying dogs. Not flying dog. He said flying dogs, by the way. Well, that's interesting. And Max Fleischer cartoons. Now, we know that Max Fleischer did the amazing, groundbreaking Superman animated series, I think back in the 40s or the 50s. It's amazing. I've got them all on physical media. I love watching them when I'm feeling a little bit down. Superman's always there for me in one form or the other. But as we're dealing with pocket universes, could there be a total animated pocket universe that features Max Fleischer cartoons, an animated Superman? Who knows what this film could deliver? These things are very, very exciting to me. The exclusive CinemaCon footage from Superman will be attached to Minecraft, as we've already discussed. The footage is an extended clip of Krypto taking Superman to the Fortress of Solitude, where he's healed by robots using the sun. I've got a better description than that coming up shortly. So here we go. Superman footage description. Opens with Superman crash landing. Krypto charges and jumps on Superman, hurting him. He wants to play. New score plays. Fortress appears from ground. S-shaped door. An S-shaped door, baby, on the Fortress of Solitude. Now, these are things that excite me. After all, I love Superman. I don't have any loyalties to any directors. I love Snyder. I think Gunn's done some really good CBMs. It's not about that. My loyalty is to the Republic, to democracy. Basically, my loyalty is to this character and DC Comics, films, television, and animation at the end of the day. That sounds awesome. Krypto drags Superman in. Superman's robots rush in to help. Superman thanks them. So that, my friend, sounds friends. Well, probably I've only got one viewer anyway. But yeah, that, my friend, sounds all very, very epic and awesome. And I can't wait to see it. And it's going to be bootlegged anyway. They should have just released it. I know what they're trying to do with Minecraft. And kids can still see it while they're watching Minecraft, because not everyone's constantly on the internet anyway. They should have released that footage online, because it will be bootlegged. And when it does, I can't, react to it. I can't watch it on this channel, but I can describe it to you and we can go into it with more detail. Can't wait until that happens. Not that I think bootleg copies of things are a good thing, but at the end of the day, just release it officially online. Here's even more details of that footage they showed yesterday at CinemaCon. So some of what we've already read, but let's read all of it again, right? Because there's some more new details. Superman sneak peek footage revealed. At CinemaCon, David Coronswet's Superman is barely breathing in the snow when Krypto comes to save him. David Coronswet's Superman says, "Krypto, take me home." Krypto helps drag him to safety, where he's met with the robots who bring him in front of the sun and back to life. Nicholas Hoult is seen as full Lex Luthor, saying he's back. Wow. So he's seen Superman and he said he's back. Also, a brief glance at Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner. So I think it's a nice, neat piece of footage, if you ask me, and I think people who see it will be excited by it, hopefully. I haven't seen it yet. Can't wait until I do. One of the things that's refreshing about James Gunn and gets him into trouble, he's quite honest. So he says, James Gunn and David Cornswet asking a ton of questions to prepare for Superman. I honestly think my favourite moments were when I would get irritated by his endless questions, and then I'd see those questions turn into something magical in his performance. That's very honest by James. Actors do this, they ask that, and in the end it gets to a director. You can understand David wanting to know stuff, and you can understand why James might get a little bit beaten down by it, because he's got so many things to think about when you're directing such a huge picture. James Gunn offered David Cornswet the role of Superman on one condition: that he treated everyone with kindness and respect. I've seen sets that cater to an actor or director's ego, and that's just not something that would happen with David. He's Superman. Even in his nerdiness, he listens to old jazz standards like that's what he listens to, just as normal procedure. Like Superman, he's a simple man in complicated times. That's terrific. James also noted his experiences with Chris Pratt and John Cena and how they treated everyone with kindness and respect on the set, and it was not non-negotiable that Coronswet do the same. And that's fantastic. This is why James is very careful who he chooses, who works with him on these films. He doesn't want any egos. That's why he doesn't really work with big stars. And I actually understand that element of his thinking. David Cornswet's trainer speaks about David's training regime. Paolo Mascitti on training David Cornswet for Superman. This is a James Gunn film, and he has a specific vision of the entire project. David has been working out intensively before I met him, but he's naturally a very lean guy. He's 6'4", but we wanted to put more bulk on him. He probably went from 200 pounds to 240 pounds, but some of that mass will be shed as he continues to tone up. Now, I've spoken before about James Gunn using Superman's greatest moments in comics and in live action to catalogue in this film, and you can kind of see it here. James Gunn says they shot a 12-minute interview scene between Lois and Clark in Superman. So this is interesting. Who's doing the interviewing? This is interesting. Is Lois interviewing Clark or Superman? Interesting. To see the energy and magic between David Cornswet and Rachel Brosnahan was awesome. Not to mention how incredibly prepared they both were. It was a huge relief, James Gunn being utterly direct and honest yet again. James Gunn on his Superman. He's starting to become successful at both jobs in the big glitzy city so far away from home. He's madly in love with a woman who isn't so sure about him, and he's made a few superhuman friends who like him but think of him as naive, and that is exactly who Superman is. And this is how other people like Guy Gardner would see him. Very, very interesting to see how all that plays out. David Cornswet said in interviews years ago that Superman was his dream role. Even if he's not a career planner, he has manifested the opportunity for millions of people to see his work. There is an amazing solemn responsibility to be the person to play this character, and there's no guarantee that I would have had a more interesting career if I hadn't, he says. I know a lot of fantastic actors better than I am who may never be seen by more than an audience of 50 or 100 people at a regional theatre. And no matter how long he tries to remain incognito, he cannot escape that he looks like Clark Kent. A few people who are famous have told me I deal with this, but nothing like what you're going to. And I don't know whether that's true, but Superman is a uniquely recognizable character. Nor does he seem to feel particularly anxious about it. While James Gunn told journalists who visited the set that the pressure was making him miserable, Cornswet didn't sweat it. What's the pressure? Pressure to be good? Definitely want to be good, he says. But I'm not directing the movie. I give James pieces of the puzzle and he gets to pick which ones he goes in which place. I can't take on the responsibility that James took on of delivering a Superman film to the masses, but James is the right person to do it. I suppose we'll find out on July the 11th. So that's all the information from the CinemaCon panel. I love all this. I love reading the quotes. It's very, very interesting. I have had a lot of questions and fears and red flags about James Gunn and this movie. But ultimately, like most people I hope, I want it to be good. I want it to deserve to be successful. The rarefied critics will have their first opportunity to see this movie and make their decisions. Not that I trust them. Then it's down to us.